Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be, wherever you may be. It is I, Captain Madlove, coming at you in the Patreon channel with a little something. So here I am in the studio. I am crunching away on this deadline for this miniature that I'm working on. And I had to clean up my desk and some things came to mind. And I thought to myself, perhaps you would want to know these few tricks that I utilize on a regular basis, most specifically when I am filming tutorials. But I thought that perhaps those of you that are out there streaming and or those of you that just want to do a quick cleanup and maybe film something for reference or just do a quick cleanup at your desk. Also, I have a quick tip for better posture, less neck pain and headache while you are painting. So let's get down to it. We're going to change screens here. We're going to flop directly over to that. We're going to see how this works. Let's see. Here we go. So here we are at the desk. This is our, what would be our background area over here. That is the palette cam, and there's some things that I want to show you. So we are going to start with number one, the palette cam. So one of the things that happens with your palette, I know you guys notice this on a regular basis, is your sponge gets stained. Now you could be using also one of those other style wet palettes. If you're using one where you are changing out paper towels all the time, then you don't have this problem. But if you're using one with a white sponge or the yellow sponge, this problem happens. And boy, I'll tell you what, I decided I was going to try to clean, because you know one of the things that does take the color out is alcohol. And on these red grass palettes, I decided I was going to clean this with alcohol. So I'd like to show you what happened. There it is. That is my spare sponge. I decided to try to take the stains out of it. And I squirt alcohol on it, and it literally ate the sponge. And that is that. So don't use alcohol on it. I went back and got my old one. This was my backup. Washed it with some hand soap and brought it to the palette. Now when I go to paint with this and put it on camera, I notice that there's all these colors showing through. Most of the time, it doesn't really bother me. Today I'm going to paint some skin. This is going to create a problem for me because I'm going to be seeing through these light glazes of skin that I make, I'm going to see these colors. So I thought, hey, I'm going to show you guys a little trick I did. All right. So on this side here that I'm going to be using, which is also the side that goes under the palette cam, you'll notice I've got also stains here. I take a couple of pieces of Viva paper towel, the type that comes apart in sections like that. I take one of those sections, I cut it in half. I put it on top of the sponge and saturate it. So there's two layers. And then I put the palette paper over that. And what I get is a significant difference. Now, I can show you underneath the palette cam. So here we are over here on the palette cam. Okay. You'll notice you see all these colors here. But when we go this way, they're barely visible. All right. The other thing that I do is I take a tiny, tiny drop of a color I'm going to be using, and I stain the center so that I get my palette lined up in the camera. Now, one of the things that I do is I align my camera. I put my palette in a convenient location for me to paint. Okay. Not for the camera, for me to paint. And I put it there, and then I bring the camera in around it. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, please feel free to put them in the bottom. And I will do my very best to answer those as soon as possible. Now you can see you've got a really nice palette area for your camera. All right, the second thing that I do has to do with my paper towels, believe it or not. All right, now I want to show you guys something, because a lot of people just use the paper towels and then they throw them away. So you guys might actually have seen this occasionally when I adjust the camera and everything. Okay, so this is off to the side. When I first start the stack, it's a nice clean stack of paper towels folded. Okay, and as I use each one, I will take it, and that one shouldn't even be in there, actually. I take it and I fold it back or in half. You can see this one side's been used. This one here, not as much. So I kind of layer through them, all right? But now when I'm gonna film or I'm coming online, I will get an extra section. I save these, I don't throw them away. Once they get all used up like this, I don't throw them away, but there's a reason, okay? When I come online or I'm filming, I clean it up by putting one nice solid piece over it so that it looks pretty when you guys see it when we're online together. Now, the advantage of this is, why waste all these paper towel? I mean, seriously, look. We've got this much. This is a lot of paper towel, okay? So I don't waste it. Instead, I use it as additional absorbency in the back. But the reason that I do this has to do with all of the paint and water I've spilled on my desk over the last couple of years. I have found that jumping up and trying to find the paper towels are sometimes missing, sometimes you borrowed them, sometimes I can't find something absorbent. This right here comes in so handy because I can just grab it and wipe up the mess. And I'm not wasting a bunch of paper towels fresh off of a roll either, which is really a bummer. So it saves me a little money in the studio, and it definitely saves me time for sure when I have to jump up and take care of a spill. And inevitably, you can also just, if you get a little spill, you can just steal one of these little sections right out of here, clean up your little spill, and go on. Okay, that is the second thing. The third thing is this area. Now, a lot of people like to use those cutting mats. I'm not really big on those unless I'm actually doing cutting. I like to use these foam mats. I think that this is, you get them at the dollar store. There's a little foam in between. Here's one here. I have one that I pop down here for stuff when I start that stuff, right? I have a clean one, well, semi-clean, that I put down here in between projects. So if I'm going to do something messy, I lay this down. And then I can just take it off my desk. It's got a little bit of sand or gravel or whatever, and I throw it off to the side. Sand and gravel goes on the floor, and then my area to paint is clean, okay? I mostly use this when you guys aren't around and we're not filming. However, when I go to make a tutorial, or occasionally when we go online, I will take a piece of cardstock. I use your regular old blue painter's tape, okay? And I tape this. Let me get this right. I made the border too big on the black one. I tape this right in the area where the camera is going to see. This is most especially important for my tutorials. And now we have a nice clean area. Now we're going to be painting skin, so I chose something with a little bit of a lavender tint to it. I square up the camera when I'm filming. There we go. Okay. And so now you have a really clean area. You have nice clean towels, sort of, right? Something in case of an emergency to wipe something up quickly with. And we've got this really nice clean palette. The last thing I'd like to show you is my support. Now this came in super handy because they started getting on to me about the condition of my spine and what's going on. And so I was looking around the house, all these different things that I could keep my elbows, my posture straight, and my elbows on the desk and not be floating around if you're streaming and everybody's like, back on the camera, back on the camera. It starts to get fatigued and it sinks away. I use manual focus. So you got to keep focusing it in. So I found that by supporting my hand on something while I was painting, that I had a lot better luck. Now, if you have an autofocus, that helps the autofocus from chasing you around the desk. If you have manual focus, it helps you get a manual focus and then you can paint. I support one hand on the ball, and the other one, when I'm painting, I will support on that hand. All right. And that really makes me know really where I need to put the mini, where the center is while we're filming. And it has helped immensely with not looking down. You got the mini down here, you tend to hunch over, and that actually causes a lot of stress on the lower vertebrae in your neck. By doing this, I found it also actually stresses the back of your hips. This I found I sit up a lot better. I have proper posture in my lower back, and I'm also not swimming all over the camera. So it turned out to be a really good thing. Now, it is not perfect for larger miniatures, about medium to small, it seems to work good for, but I will figure something out for the larger miniatures here in the near future. In the meantime, this guy is a yoga exercise ball. It is a weighted ball. It's about 5 pounds. All right. If you're a little larger, you might need a size up so that your hands can come a little bit farther apart. Your elbows are a little farther apart. You'll have to make that judgment for yourself. You just tap it a few times on the desk on its butt, and it makes it flat so it doesn't roll around or get away. And there you have it. It came in really handy. I just happen to have one of these downstairs. This was actually for, I think, strengthening my wrists at one point. And we still had this guy hanging out. So it came in really, really handy. Now, all the links for all of these things, this is a red grass palette. We'll put a link in the bottom for you. I really do prefer the red grass palette paper to the parchment, even though in a pinch, I use the parchment, but I will explain more about that in another video. The Viva paper towels, I order them in bulk from Amazon. I suppose we can, I would say that you can probably get cardstock scrapbooking paper from Dick Blick. If you don't need something as fancy as that, you can probably just get a tablet of, I would say you could probably use construction paper if you wanted. It would be a lot cheaper. I use this because it doesn't, if it gets a little bit of water on it, it doesn't really peel as easily as construction paper. I have been using the foam mats, but I go through so many that and I've got to cut them all. These are all cut to a nice, convenient size for me. So it works out really good. There are many other things that you can use. I just find this one to be the most convenient. And I would say that you could probably get scrapbooking paper in any color that you wanted. Joann's online, Dick Blick online. I know they have it at Joann's. And then this guy here, we'll put a link to Amazon for that. And in the meantime, I will tell you what. Hang on just a minute. There it is. There it is. I just wanted to say thank you for joining me for these few tips. I really do hope that they are helpful to you and that you find them valuable. If you have things that you have questions about, I'm happy to make videos about those. I'm interested in your ideas. If you would please ask questions, post ideas in the bottom. I am interested in knowing that so that what I bring you here on the Patreon is valuable to you because you are here as a patron. In the meantime, I will see you in online probably before I see you in the next instructional video. I hope this has been helpful and improves the situation in your personal studio. And between now and when we see each other again, you know the drill. The paints, the brushes, the minis. Get your fucking paint on. Now don't get excited. Don't get excited. Brain fart. It's a rainbow.
All right.
If you like tentacles poking a tree, I'm painting a monkey or evil machine. And if you like everything that's in between, you are a pirate. If globular tree stumps, that be your wish. I'm painting a Gundam or warrior fish. When you're creating